What's up, everybody? Welcome to Nintendo Dual Screens Podcast Bonus Stage. I think this might be Bonus Stage 5 or 6. I lost count. But we are here. We are actually live on twitch.tv/dual screen streams, which is how we are going to try and do Bonus Stage podcasts from now on. But I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, is my co-host and my partner in crime. He's Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
I think it's number 5.
I think so, too. I think it
Five
is 5.
sounds right to me.
Yeah. 5 sounds about right.
Yes.
Well, why are we
Yes.
doing a bonus stage, you ask? That's a very, very good question. It is because Nintendo decided to announce 2 weeks after E3 that they have new hardware. It is the Switch Lite, and that is what today's podcast is going to be all about. Now, don't worry, you're still going to get your normal podcast. What podcast is that, Andy? Well, it's new Nintendo Dual Screens podcast, which you could find on your favorite podcast service of choice, including iHeartRadio and Spotify. It posts each and every Monday. And what is Nintendo Dual Screens podcast? Very simple. It's an interview podcast where Andy and I interview an industry guest, and then we go over the Nintendo's past, present, and future. That's it. Simple. This week, actually, because we're recording this, when is it? Wednesday? Recording this on Wednesday, and this week's guest was the developer of Eagle Island, which was a fantastic episode, if you don't mind me saying so. Nick Gregory was a great guest, and apparently, Andy, you liked Eagle Island.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the shit out of it.
The shit was loved.
There is a full review of my thoughts you can read right now on dualscreens.com.
Dualscreens.com, that's right.
I'm going to plug all the things in the intro right now, kiddies.
Plugging
Get
all
all
the
out the way.
things.
Podcast, website. Did we mention Patreon yet? Our
We did
YouTube
not.
channel is also up and running. There.
We did not.
Go check that out.
If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like Grandmaster Patreon producer Alex Gonzalez, who has just become a Grandmaster, some sort of champion in Mortal Kombat 11. So now we have to refer to him as the Grandmaster, Andy. That's just how it is. That's just how it works.
Always going forward, forever and ever.
Until he loses that status. It's just what has to happen, Andy. I'm sorry. It's just
You do it one time. We'll do it one time on next week's show just to make it official.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's regular ass Alex going forward after that.
Remember, guys, we cannot continue to grow without your support. And $1 gets you in our Discord, super secret VIP Discord channel, which we do have questions about this beautiful Switch reveal. So let's dive right in. Today, Nintendo announced the Nintendo Switch Lite. It will release on September 20th, 2019 in 3 different colors. It will be in yellow, gray, and turquoise, for the price of $199.99. Now, right off the bat, before we dive into what this thing is, what did you think of them coming out now, 2 weeks after E3, and revealing this?
I was kind of shocked that... So I woke up this morning, I was touching up my Eagle Island review before I published it. I was going through Twitter, and I thought it was some sort of troll or another one of those like rumors that we hear so much about. But it was Nintendo's official Twitter account. And I was like, this is a really weird thing to wake up to. And the timing seems really strange to me. It seems like this had been ripe for an E3 announcement. There wasn't a lot of huge things at Nintendo's E3. They could have closed it out with this announcement. Had a bundle package all ready to go with the price point, taking pre-orders for it then and there, get some hype going, some excitement. But this is a really bizarre way to announce a new piece of hardware. I don't know. That's strange.
I tend to agree, but at the same time, maybe they weren't sure what other, like, going into E3, it was rumored that Microsoft was going to come out swinging, and maybe they just didn't want to get drowned out by what they feared Microsoft would be announcing. So it's possible that they decided, you know what, let them have that stage. We're going to blow everybody away with Breath of the Wild 2 anyway. And then...
Right, but I feel, that's more of a Sony concern. Like, that's because they're like kind of on in terms of competition, they're more of equal footing. Nintendo's a whole different demographic that they're going after, so they could do whatever they want and they'll be fine. They can
Sure.
just sign Animal Crossing and Zelda and Labo and still get headlines.
Yeah, it just feels like the perfect E3 announcement, and clearly they were ready to show it. It's whatever. It's 2 weeks. So here, let's take a look at these features or lack thereof of the
Right. Let's see
Nintendo
what was
Switch
removed from this thing.
Lite.
Can we address one thing before we dive
Sure,
into this?
sure.
Can we still really call it a Switch?
We'll get into that. Okay,
All right.
so the Nintendo Switch Lite features. It is a smaller 5.5-inch touch screen. So it is a 5.5-inch screen instead of the normal, I believe it's 6.1 inch. Yes, 6.1-inch screen.
6.2.
6.2. Okay.
Yes.
It's lighter. So it's I think it was
Weighs
like
0.61 pounds
right.
compared to the 0.88 pounds of the original
Correct.
Switch.
Correct. So a fifth of a pound less, I guess.
Mm.
Uh,
We'll
it
feel that
has
difference in the Switch Lite.
there are no detachable Joy-Con, and to improve on that choice, there's now a D-pad instead of those four buttons, which would be on the left Joy-Con, which is interesting. Um, so D-pad style control pad, improved 3 to 7 hour battery life, which is a joke because the original is 2.5 to 6.5. So really, it's like a half an
It's
hour
the same
swing,
thing. It's the same thing.
but it's the same thing. It has
Yeah.
no infrared or HD rumble functionality. It also, and this is the strangest thing about this, it has no ability to dock to a TV or to play in tabletop mode. I am not. I don't understand why there's no tabletop mode in this situation. I think they're saying that because there's no official Nintendo Switch stand that you can buy, so they can't advertise. Oh, just get a third party stand because they got rid of the kickstand as well. Um,
Which is
so
an odd choice to me. Why would you do that?
it's just weird. It's not so. I mean, Nintendo's gonna do what Nintendo does. We all know that. Now,
And they're doing this, obviously.
right, right. So
Doing this thing.
this is clearly the 2DS to the 3DS situation here. This
Hmm,
is
hmm.
a $200 option for families uh, that are gonna that want to buy Pokemon for their child. Because now one of the other things is there's a special edition Pokemon version of this system, which actually looks really nice. It's like I believe it's white or gray or something like that, and it has the Pokemon etched on the back. It looks really slick. That is the dollars and cents reason why this thing is coming out in the fall. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Um, some people are disappointed that they didn't do a beefed up version of the Switch. Although I still think we're at least a year away, if not 6 months away, from something like that. Um, the Here's what's appealing to me as somebody who does already have a Nintendo Switch. Um, I primarily play in handheld mode, but I always travel with my Switch. Now, when I'm home and I'm streaming, I put the Switch in the dock. I play like that. What's intriguing about this to me is that this could be the Switch that I don't have to worry about those Joy-Con uh, getting loose because they do knock around, like they wiggle a little bit on the track. Um, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. This is a system where it could be a secondary system. Now, I say that, except Nintendo makes it damn near impossible to share your account between two Switch. They Pokemon does not have cloud saves, so you can't. The only way
It
that
will never have cloud saves.
you can't. What that means though is that if I am playing this on my main Switch and I want to take it on the go on my Switch Lite,
No,
I
you
would
can't.
have. Well, you can, but you would have to physically do a data transfer of everything on one Switch to the other Switch, and then the old one is no longer usable
Right. So every
unless
single
you
time you're gonna do this.
exactly because Nintendo does what Nintendo does, and they make things just difficult. Just I honestly don't know why. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Um, The other person that this is for is the parent that's looking for that great holiday gift that doesn't, maybe they don't have a TV in the kid's bedroom or a basement for the kid to play games. Maybe the only place they could play games if it was on a TV was on the living room television, and if that's the case, you get them the handheld version. It's more durable. They could beat it up a little bit. It's $100 cheaper. Um, so like that, those are the two people I think would buy this. I think this is going to do exceptionally well for the fall. I honestly think this is going to be a barn burner for them, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think out the gate, what this thing really is, in my opinion, it is a replacement for the 3DS. That's all it really is. Nintendo still wants to, they want to occupy the handheld gaming market. They want to dominate that realm. You know, the 3DS going the way of the dodo. They want something, an option that's going to fill that void in terms of sales. And we discussed this a long time ago on our podcast, how when we had all these like Switch XL and 4K Switch rumors, we discussed a cheaper version that would remove a lot of features, and we kind of nailed it, to be honest, on all points.
Mm-hmm.
It's a you can't dock it. It has no physical, no real Joy Cons. I feel like the identity of what a Switch is got lost in this piece of hardware. I look at it, the colors are great, but it has a sort of a knockoff look to it. Like it's not quite an official piece of Nintendo hardware, but it
Right.
is. Like when I think of a Switch, those red and blue Joy Cons are sort of iconic. They go hand in hand with the console. This looks like it's, I don't know, like it's some other thing altogether, and I see what you're saying, how who this is for, like the gamers on a budget or the parents want a cheaper option for their kids. Um, I just think you're sacrificing way too much of what the Switch is and what it can do, and you're only saving $100. If it was
But
priced at 150, I
but
think that is a more
but let
accessible
me
price
ask you
point.
something. But let me ask you
Yes,
something.
sure.
Does it matter to does it really matter that you're not giving something to your current player base? Like the people who would buy a Switch Pro are the, you know, 25 to 35 or over, 25 and up, who have a job, who have a career, who have been holding out for that bigger and better Switch, or the people who
Hmm.
already have a Switch that are going to upgrade. Those are the people that you'd be targeting for that. But with the Switch Lite, where you're taking away features that a child may not even use, um, they probably have data, right? Like every single person that I know, except for one who's in this chat right now, uses their Switch primarily as a handheld. It's like a 90% handheld thing, if not more, for me. The only time I use it on my TV is when I'm streaming with you. Those are the only times it's on my television.
Right, and that's the great marketing hook. It's like it's a console, but it's also a handheld device. You can take it wherever you want, and you can still get that at home on your couch, big TV feeling that you're used to when you're playing your AAA games or what have you. So it's
Now,
best of both worlds.
sure, but I even from the very beginning, I didn't look at this as a console you could take on the go. I I thought of this. Sorry, Buzz just made a comment that made me laugh. Buzz Killington says, "Oh Jesus Christ, is Michael J. Fox holding Andy's camera?"
It's on my
Oh my
laptop, you
God.
fool. I don't have a
that
steady camera.
I'm sorry. I love Michael J. Fox. It's very sad, but that shit just made me laugh. Sorry,
I'm on my
but
laptop. I'm not really sorry, Buzz. Get used to it.
it's literally on his
I'll
lap,
try to keep it
Buzz.
steady. My,
Um,
my my massive throbbing erection keeps tilting over the laptop. I
Now,
apologize.
getting back on track, I never looked
Yes.
at it as a console you take on the go. I look at it as a handheld that you could play as a console. That's how I looked at it. I looked at
Dude,
it as,
backwards ass thinking you have.
listen, when I had the Vita, the Vita was great, but when they had Vita TV, RIP Vita TV, Nomine Padre Spirito Sante, that was the thought of, hey, now I could play my Vita on my TV like a console. Like that was exciting, and that's kind of like how I looked at the
Well,
Switch.
that was what the idea was. That's that marketing. It's saying, hey, you can play your Vita on your TV.
Right, and that's where I always looked at the Switch. Like I
It's like
understand
a
that's
Super
not
Game Boy. You can play your Game Boy on your TV.
sure that and that's what I felt the dock was. The dock was the Super Game Boy for the Switch. That's what I felt that dock really was.
Oh my god.
What I think what I think their biggest mistake with this device is not letting you put it in your dock. There's obviously a piece of hardware
at
that's
least
inside.
I can charge the thing. Like what the hell?
Well,
Like,
you can
what
charge it.
I'm saying in the dock though. Like what
You
prevents?
You still
Right.
can. So it still charges via USB-C.
Right.
It doesn't
course.
have the guts inside the Switch that would convert a USB-C signal to an HDMI out signal.
Well, there's no HDMI. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're
So
saying.
what I'm curious about
Uh huh.
is if the Switch Gate, which is the dock that I got, the third-party dock that I have, I'm curious because that has the brains externally, and I'm wondering if it bypasses what the OG Fat Switch does for a signal, or if it just mimics what the dock is.
I'm
I'm
really
just
calling it the Fat Switch at this point. Is that what we're calling it?
I call it the OG.
Yeah,
call it the
original
OG.
Switch, the Fat Switch. Get that's obese counterpart.
True. So let's talk about the D-pad real quick. That's awesome. And
That is the only thing that, in the slightest, about this new iteration interests me.
Mhm.
The D-pad.
mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you, when I play those like platforming games in handheld mode, it destroys my thumbs.
Sure.
It is a pain in the ass. So, love the D-pad. Great choice. Can we get some down the Joy-Con maybe, like a Joy-Con D-pad going on as an option?
I mean,
Can that
they
be
make
released?
they make those little plastic covers for it, and they work.
No, that's not good enough.
But
Not
they
official.
work. I have one, and it works. I'm just letting you know. I think they should they should call it the retro Joy-Con, and it should just be the left Joy-Con, and it should have a D-pad on it, and they should just sell that by itself for $50. Charge an extra 10. Who gives a shit?
Gouge me at this point.
Why would what?
Some more ways to gouge me.
Yeah, exactly.
I just bought new Joy because my launch Joy-Cons don't work anymore. I get that weird always scrolls left glitch.
Oh yeah, you could send
So
that in for
Nintendo
them
was
to
like-
fix.
They were like, "Oh well, we can't fix that. Let's go buy a new one." Sorry.
Great, awesome.
That's how you fix
I
that.
think mine is always scrolling up.
Let me
uh,
ask you this though.
Go ahead, ask me what.
What games? I gave it some thought. The only game that I can think of that does not work in handheld mode is 1-2 Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fuck ton of games.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've played them. I've played them all pretty much in handheld mode, aside for 1-2 Switch. So, what games would this not support? Because Mario Party, you can play that.
No, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
No, you can't. I've played it
No, you
online
can.
before with you
So,
guys. Yeah.
so the other things to note about this is that it can still connect to a Pro controller and other Joy-Con.
God, I hope so. I mean, that'd be kind of shitty.
It still does not include Bluetooth headphone support.
But it will eventually. Is that what that's
No,
about?
no.
Asterisk? Like, oh, so it never will.
No, I mean, no, they won't.
Yeah,
Why would
see,
they?
again, I just feel like you're losing way too much for only $100 less. It's not enough. It's not cheap enough to me. It's cheaper. It's not cheap enough for what you're sacrificing. Just get a real Switch. Get the real deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't.
That's where I'm landing on this. I feel like it's a nice option, but first of all, are Switch sales lagging? Do we need this?
I'm telling you, the reason why
it's already the cheapest option on the market.
this is
still sells incredibly well.
it's,
we need
it's
a
not the
Switch Lite?
cheapest option on the market anymore. So it's not. You could get an Xbox One and a OG PS4 for $200. So it's not the cheapest option on the market. Pokemon is coming out. And with Pokemon coming out, there are going to be small children, ages 5, 6,
Small
7,
children.
that their parents are not going to drop $400, 300 plus a game and whatever on a Switch. They're just not going to do it just so that their kid can play Pokemon.
They did it for Smash and for Let's Go. They'll totally
No,
do
they
it.
didn't. They
Yes, they
did.
will.
Let's go Pokemon. Let's go Pikachu. Let's go Eevee. They do not want
Do you really think the
mainline.
price
They don't
point?
want mainline Pokemon selling
Do you
like
think
that.
the price point of the Switch is gatekeeping
Yes.
younger gamers? Get
Yes.
out of here.
Yes.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that the 2DS sold like gangbusters at $80. Like parents went the 2DS, I believe
What did a 3DS cost at the time?
the 3DS was, I believe, $179.99. I think.
All right, well, it's $100 cheaper, but $80 though, you really can't beat that bargain.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
There's no other Switch bargain. There's
the
no
feature you're losing is what, just 3D functionality. At the end of the day, really.
and the fact that it couldn't close. it was a cheese wedge.
The pizza slice.
And
Where they did have the actual dual screen.
Yes, but it also
2DS.
didn't have the beefed up power until they made the new 2DS.
Because the shitty doorstop one wasn't selling that well.
It sold 70 million.
The shitty doorstop one?
The 2DS. The 2DS.
doorstop pizza, the pizza one.
The
slice of pizza 2DS.
Hold on.
I'm gonna leap out this window.
Hang on, I'm gonna find out
because the world is in a really bad place if we've managed to sell 70 million of the pizza slice doorstop.
That's what I heard on another.
I do not believe that. If it's
podcast.
all 2DS,
Sales, here we go.
If it's all 2DS, it can't be pizza slice. I don't believe you.
They just talk about how much it grew when the 2DS came out.
I mean, listen. Didn't Pokemon? What was it? Did X and Y launch alongside the 2DS launch? I think it was X and Y that came out.
I don't know.
Around the same time, which really helped push the 2DS sales. And it's a smart move. Listen, it's not a dumb move by Nintendo. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're getting more Switch in households than they already are.
Okay, no, the 3DS has sold 73 million. The 2DS,
Okay.
hold on.
Okay, see, you were wrong.
2DS.
70 million 2DSs. Get out of here.
The 2DS boosted their sales by 42%. So
what's the hard number? What did the 2DS? What did the pizza
they
slice
don't
sell?
say it. They're putting it. They don't.
They're too ashamed to say it.
No, they
They're
don't.
too ashamed.
They
They're like
bundle it with
Microsoft.
the other
They
one.
don't-
Actually,
they don't say
that
what
was
they
actually
do.
an old. It could be.
Yeah.
The 2DS could have sold that.
Let me
much, 'cause that
guess.
was an old number.
Did people play Smash 4 500 million times on 2DS? Is that what the stat is? Like how Microsoft does their stats?
700 trillion times. Hold on.
We've done 500 quadrillion laps in Forza. That's how they gauge their metrics for success. But yeah, back on topic. I really feel like, listen, like I told you, this is it's not for me. It's for someone.
When was this?
But I think most people are just like, oh, okay, it's kind of neat. Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy the whole price point affordability crap. I feel that the Switch launched at a really good price point. They could have slashed the original Switch by $25, like a permanent price cut.
What would that have done?
And just sell that.
Why? Why would they do that when they can get the price under $200 and people are still going to use it as a portable device? It's that, I mean, the way you have to think of it is a $300 is still a premium cost for a premium console. I
really don't like where we're going with this, by the way. We had that gimped Xbox One S contraption, that discless thing that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have this thing. It's the same. It's the same idea.
And that was still $300, by the way.
right.
So you want to talk about $200 not being a
At
sale?
least
That's
you're
stupid.
not-
All right,
you're
let's
not
go back. Let's
getting
get into the
totally-
chat. Hold on.
Right. You're not getting like
right.
totally blasted in the ass by by Microsoft.
Buzz Killington says it kind of looks like a PSP.
It does. Yeah, it is very PSP like, but like a
he-
cheap knockoff.
Super Anthony says this is actually genius. It's not 2DS to 3DS at all. It's for someone who wants just a mobile console, like a DS, and now Nintendo can make games for the same platform instead of multiple platforms. Makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I never saw it as like a 2DS, 3DS thing. Because at least you could still call it a dual screen device. Well, not that stupid pizza slice one, but it was still like a a DS at the end of the day, with just a 3D element removed. This thing, you can't call it a Switch. I mean, you're not going to rebrand the goddamn thing, 'cause that makes no sense at all. But
Yeah, but you're getting hung up on the whole Switch thing.
no, I'm not hung up on it. I'm just saying it's like you know that Adam Jensen quote from Deus Ex.
Mhm.
What is it? He says, "I never asked for this." That's what I feel this is like.
Super Anthony also says you get it for cord cutters too, who still want to enjoy Mario.
Well, the Switch is a cord cutter.
Senor
The whole
Cheeseman,
thing
thank
is
you for
about
the
cord
lurk.
cutting. The marketing was based around taking a console experience out of your home and on the go.
Sure.
You watch that first video. That's the pitch. It's imagine all the things you like about sitting at home with your friends playing a Nintendo system, high quality content, and taking it outside on the go, on your commute to work, on while you're traveling, on the shitter for all I care.
Mike Kirsch says, I think the idea of a handheld Switch is very attractive at a lower price point. Hold on. Super Anthony says, yeah, why not? A lot of people didn't like the 3D and the 3DS anyway, so the 2DS was a selling point for them too. They also, he said, well, they also made the Wii U. So I'm not sure you could always say that they know what they're doing.
I think this of Wii U had resemblance, by the way.
Right.
Getting some flashbacks, but I can see the 3DS. You think what's the most? If we're going to talk about an underused feature or that we're not really pushing on this hardware, you can get rid of the 3D aspect and still have the same games. Not a big deal.
Yeah, but then they made the new 3DS anyway.
The 3D components, the aspect wasn't selling the games. That wasn't was pushing the hardware. You were like, oh my god, check out these dope 3D effects in Kid Icarus. That wasn't the selling point of the 3DS. It was a nice gimmick, how it faked 3D with no glasses. But that's fleeting.
So what's the selling point of a Switch?
The selling point of the Switch is the switching of it. You can take it out of your home and play on the go, and then put it in the dock, and it's a traditional experience. That's the pitch.
Now,
that's the marketing. That's the hook.
Here's where I disagree with you.
Now you're taking the most notable feature away from that device.
The most notable feature of the Switch is not the fact that you can take it, put a TV
it's
and
in
whatever.
the fucking name.
That's
in the name.
That doesn't matter because that's not what it became. Because the statistics say that over 75% of the people only play it handheld. The biggest selling point of the Switch is that you have console quality gaming in your hand. That is what the selling point of the Switch is. It's the fact that you could play Breath of the Wild in your hand in the back of your car or on the train.
So should we have just no more docks going forward?
But this is what I'm saying. The reason why that the Switch was the Switch is because they didn't know how this thing was going to be played. They had to protect themselves by saying, no, it's not another handheld. We promise you could put this on your TV. What did putting it on your TV do? It gave you a minimal visual upgrade. It went like from 480 to 720 or whatever the hell it was. It gave no real processing upgrade. It didn't give you HDR. It didn't give you 4K. It didn't give you, hell, it wouldn't even let you be able to use headphone. Like nothing about it was a premium console experience. But if you take the console experience and you put it in your hands, that now it becomes a premium product, not the other way around. If I plug my 3DS into my TV, that doesn't make the 3DS a premium console just because it goes on my TV. It was never a good
That's not the point of
television
the
console.
are to put your 3DS in your TV. That's not how it's marketed to people.
What I'm trying to say is, if the market research is there and they see that a vast majority of people aren't using this thing on their televisions or in tabletop mode.
Wait, hold on a minute. Listen, why is it being used so much on the go though? You can't lug around your TV while you're going to work, or you go to the park, or you go on a picnic, or you go to the beach. Like, doesn't that make sense though? Wouldn't you expect
that's the point?
More playtime? Right, but if I'm playing,
the point
home,
is you can
if I'm
take
playing
it
at
on
home
the
for
go.
like 4 or 5 hours, right? Like a normal console, like a PS4 or PC gaming, like maybe 4 or 6 hours a day.
But
I can take it outside and play all day long without a TV attached to me. It makes sense. There's more playtime in handheld.
But my point is, people are not using it on their TVs when they're home. They're sitting on their couch playing, just like they were on the Wii U using the tablet. That's what I'm saying. The whatever the numbers were, whatever statistics they have in front of them, and of course I am taking an educated guess on this, but I mean, that's how I use it, and that's how almost everybody I talk to uses it. They use it. They sit down at I know somebody who plays their PlayStation 4 and in between games of Apex is playing his Switch in handheld, like at home, sitting on his couch or whatever he's doing. Like the thing that made the Switch cool was not the fact that you can take what's on your TV on the go. It's the fact that they could put what's on your TV in the palm of your hands. And once you have that power, it's like the Vita when the PS3 was out, like being able to remote play PS3 on your Vita was amazing because now you have a console game in your hand. It wasn't the Vita TV or getting the gimpy.
Yeah, not with that lag though. That was not a console,
especially in the beginning. It was way better. Like I said, now Buzz is saying he plays 9010 dock to handheld, but he's like literally the only person that I know that does that.
You also know me. I play mostly on my TV.
But that's not true because you're always with the thing. You say that you lay in bed. You said that you play like 6 hours a night sometimes laying in bed with your Switch. So don't give me that shit.
No, I play mostly on my TV. No joke. No joke. I would say now it's not 90-10. It's more like maybe 70, maybe like 60-40 dock to handheld.
Now imagine you only had one TV.
I own 2 docks, Steven.
I know, but imagine you only had one TV.
Why do I have 2 docks in my house?
Because you're a sick loser. And you don't like money.
I like to project on a massive
I have 2
screen.
docks too. I have the Switchgate and I have the regular dock.
Ooh, you have 2 docks?
I do.
So sexy.
Docking.
So hot. So hot. No, but listen, I understand what you're trying to say. I just don't think it's worth only being $100 less than the original Switch.
Well, it's $80 for the Joy-Con. So
sure,
you're cutting
you still
that
get
out.
those.
And the dock is $40.
But you still get that with a Switch, though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like
the price point is not super appealing to me. If it was $150, I can see a case for it.
So are you like, all right? Well, then let me ask you this: Would
I think you're losing way too
Would
much.
it be more worth it for Nintendo to not make this thing if they can't get it under?
What happens when do you see a 4K, which is, I hate saying it, or a upgraded Switch model coming out, like a Switch 2.0? in the next maybe year or so.
Maybe
Not a next gen leap, not a PS5 from PS4,
they've already upgraded the Switch, so
no, like a Switch Pro or a Switch X. Do you see that happening in the Switch lifetime?
yes,
Okay. What will that do to the original Switch price point?
it
Is it the
will
same price?
it will either be the same price and then they'll phase out the original Switch, which having the Switch Lite at $200 will allow that to happen because then they're making up that money somewhere. Like it should probably be $100 more expensive than the OG Switch, but if you're not making the OG Switch and you're making a $200 Switch Lite that they're making a little bit more of a profit off of, like I mean, there's it still costs money to manufacture, right? So
Right.
I imagine they're making at the most $20 on the Switch Lite, at the most, if they're not taking a loss already. If they're making $20 a unit on the
mighty
Switch,
cheap. So I don't know what I don't think. I think they're making more off of each sale than $20.
there's still a ton of technology in that thing. I mean, it's still
Right, but it's
you're
not the
not gonna
most
get a
current
tablet.
technology.
You're not gonna get a
Current
tablet with
technology.
that tech in it for $200.
No,
You
you
don't get an
definitely don't.
Nvidia Shield with that chip set inside with that RAM. You're not getting that for $200. So
Right.
the components still cost what they cost.
Right, but I'm saying back to my point. You see a Switch Pro coming out, and at what price point?
I could see the Switch. So what I see happening is the the Switch Pro will be
Mm-hmm.
announced, and then they'll probably say this is going to, or they'll call it the Switch 2.0 or whatever they'll call it, or the new Nintendo Switch.
Whatever it's called, yeah, whatever it's called.
Whatever they call it, they're gonna call it something that's not distinguishing itself as in addition to the original Switch. I think it's going to be the replacement of the Nintendo Switch. So I think it's going to come
At
out.
the same price point
Yes,
as the OG Switch.
yes. I think it's going
And
to
at
be
that point, why are you going to buy a Switch Lite?
because it's $100 less, and children.
Right.
Andy, I know you don't know this, but children break shit. And I would much rather spend $100 less so that my 5-year-old could play Pokemon than spend $300+ and have to
You buy
replace
your kid
Joy-Con.
a 2DS. You buy your kid a 2DS pizza slice for $10 on eBay, and that's how he plays Pokemon.
You can't that's not what Nintendo's goal is. Nintendo's goal is to get them into the new ecosystem so that they grow up in the Switch ecosystem because that's
If
how
they at
they're going to
least-
move forward.
Listen, I would be more on board if they at least like tried, like at least get rid of the fucking bezel on this thing. Like try to make some quality of life improvements to make it like the D-pad is a good step. More of that to make it a little bit more enticing.
But that
For some,
also loses the whole Switch thing because then you don't have the buttons to use the Joy-Con as a controller. But
it's
I
like,
digress.
it's like so many issues now we're getting into.
All right, I'm gonna get into the Discord because we have a couple questions there. This is from
Discord questions.
Patreon producer Alex Gonzalez, the Grandmaster. He says,
Grandmaster.
do you think the light will come with a charger, or you'll be required to own a normal Switch dock?" So
Oh,
they said
God.
it is going to come with. It's coming with the AC adapter. It's coming with the same charging cord that comes with the OG Switch. Just it doesn't plug into the dock. It plugs directly into the Switch, which you can do now with your OG Switch if you need to. Maltese says, can Switch and Switch Lite play together in person via Bluetooth or some type of connection? I would imagine so. It still has the same functionality of the Switch in that regard as far as multiplayer is concerned. Will the Lite be able to handle everything that the standard Switch gets? Yes, it's the same internal components. Like we said, the only thing is that 1-2 Switch probably won't work because as of right now,
I really doubt it.
right now you are required for it to be on the TV, I think. But I remember seeing some of that game being played with the, maybe I'm misremembering, but with it in tabletop mode, which I still think they will be able to do at some point, even though they say no tabletop mode. I don't see how, aside from the lack of a kickstand, it can't do tabletop mode. That's just weird to me.
Yeah, like even when I use tabletop, I just lay it flat sometimes on a table.
Right.
It's not a big deal to me. But if you can still connect your Joy Cons and the Pro Pro controller to it, isn't that tabletop mode?
Yeah, exactly.
So
That
what the fuck?
that's my point. That's tabletop mode.
Right. That's
Unless
tabletop mode.
unless a game uses like the tabletop mode, like Mario. Was it Mario Party where you put them down and you roll the tanks? Maybe it can't do that, like because it doesn't have the gyroscope in it.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maltese also says at this
Oh
price.
wait. Okay, yeah, go on. Yeah, say that. Yeah.
He
What,
says
what's he
at
say?
this price point, I feel like saving another $100 for the standard Switch would be worth it. However, I know that most of my gaming time would be handheld. So there you go.
So I just read a snippet right now. I'm going to read this back to you and let me know how this sits with you.
Okay.
The Switch Lite cannot properly play offline multiplayer in Mario Kart 8. It removes second player Cappy in Super Mario Odyssey and takes out most of the multiplayer fun in Smash Brothers Ultimate. So many of Nintendo's top games have had core features removed for this cheaper price point.
I
Does
don't
that feel
see.
like
I
it's
don't
worth
see.
it?
I don't see why that would be the case, unless
Well,
they
but that
unless
is the
they
case.
unless they degraded, downgraded rather the
So you're not getting
chipset.
the same experience then. It's not one for one.
That's bizarre to me. That doesn't
Right.
seem like it makes much sense. Huh.
So weird.
Unless you know what it could be. It could be that it can't turn off the fact that the other controllers are connected to it. So it would need, in that sense, it would need more than just the two. Like it probably maybe it counts those two controllers as as two slots, and then you could only have two more attached to it, being two pro controllers to do like two-player game. I don't know. That's weird. That's weird. That's a weird thing. I still think that the people you're selling this to aren't going to use it for that functionality anyway.
I love
But
how the PR spiel says if you buy separate Joy Cons, you gotta charge it separately.
yeah, you needed something
So
to
please
charge it
buy
with.
our Joy-Con charging grip.
Yeah, that's that
Like
that's dumb
you
too.
should
Like,
buy that too, guys.
I mean, it makes, I guess it makes all the sense. Like I said, they're doing this to be a secondary Switch or an entry level Switch for young gamers. Like that's the
But could you
only reason why
imagine
they're doing
being a
this.
young gamer and like one of your classmates who has a original Switch and you have the Switch Lite and you try to play a game together and you find certain features removed that you can't play to its fullest extent. Which, by the way, you have to check on the eShop to what those differences may or may not be.
Mm. Well, we know that messaging and functionality are not uh, playing with friends is not Nintendo's strong point, and that makes me really confused. Like, how did they get so bad at playing with friends? It makes no sense to me. I mean, this we're gonna end on this note because we're going a little longer than we
Yeah.
wanted to. When we set up to do Tuesdays with Andy and Steve, um, how long does it take us sometimes to set up a game, both get in the game?
Well, there's also the concern of does this game support online multiplayer? Because the Steam version does sometimes.
Yeah, but that's on the dev. That's not on Nintendo. But
Right.
just getting the friends list to
Oh yeah, or
work
like just
is
figuring out
like,
where we have to go to do like a little lobby or something or other.
yeah, it's
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 a
just
good
ass
10,
backwards.
15 minutes sometimes.
Personally, I would have much rather than put their R&D into fixing their infrastructure, their online infrastructure and friends list and how that all works, but whatever.
Right. You could have made a more enticing Switch. You could have made the Switch itself better, sleeker, sexier at the same price and release that.
What they
Not,
really
not, not call it a pro. Just make a better version of it.
what they really should have done is just sold the Switch without the dock, and that's it. Just chop it by 50 bucks.
You know what the fuck that dock costs sometimes? That dock is not cheap.
I know. Just cut it out and sell that for 200 bucks.
I think I wanna end on this note.
Yes.
It's it's gonna be scary to see how well this thing sells.
Oh, it's going to sell real well.
It's going to set a very dangerous precedent going forward. Where the market will enable Nintendo and its competitors to have similar devices in the future, I feel. Again, we saw it with the Xbox One S discless thing, which I'm not sure how that thing is selling. Again, that's at the same price point, so it's not really appealing. This is cheaper. Again, it's coming around the fall, good for holiday season, around Pokemon Sword and Shield's release as well. It's going to be terrifying to see this thing sell very, very well and have insane numbers. And it's going to set a dark, it's going to cast a dark shadow.
Anthony seems to disagree with you. He says it's a dangerous.
Anthony, you know what? I don't care if you disagree with me or not.
It says it's a dangerous precedent that Nintendo knows its market and caters to it? ?
Listen, I'm looking out for people like you, Anthony. People like us.
Indeed. Well, that's going to do it for us.
This goes back to folks bitching about the Pokédex. Do you think that we're not going to sell Pokemon Sword and Shield? You think it's not going to sell well?
They're going to sell 13 million in the first weekend.
In the first day, I would imagine.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for us here. This has been Nintendo Dual Screens Podcast Bonus Stage, I believe, episode 5, talking all about the Switch Lite. Remember, Nintendo Dual Screens Podcast is part of the Proven Gamer Podcast Network, which includes Trophy Whores, a PlayStation podcast, Game Stuff, a general games discussion podcast, and PG Spoilers, a user-generated, unfiltered pop culture podcast. You could get all of your stuff for Proven Gamer at provengamer.com, where you can download all those shows, subscribe to all of them. We're pretty much where all podcast services, all podcasts are found. Sorry, I don't have my usual spiel in front of me. I usually have some notes here. If you want to follow the show, you could do so. We are at NDS Podcast on both Twitter and Instagram. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pantsguy. If you want to join our Facebook group, you could do so at facebook.com/groups/NDS Podcast. And again, we are streaming this live on twitch.tv/dualscreenstream. So head over there, give us a follow. Thank you very much to Zazu Pitts of Sourdough Productions for our theme song, 16-Bit Attack. Thank you, Matt Murray, for all of our overlays, which I believe you gave us the template for this one. And then actually, Anthony in the chat actually refined it for us this evening. Made it a little bit higher res. So thank you very much, Anthony. Appreciate that. Thank you, Dan Clone of Dinosaur Machines Podcast and Hit Buttons Gaming for our Nintendo Dual Screens logo. Thank you, Andrew Douglas, for all of our podcast art. And again, you could support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/NDS Podcast. That is it. That's going to do it for this bonus stage. And as always, please be excellent to each other.